Welcome to STEAM at Home. My name is Miss Joann. Today we're going to be doing an experiment using stuff we can find around the house. Today's experiment will be sticky ice. And in order to conduct this experiment, you're going to need 2 bowls filled with water, about halfway full, some salt, ice, and 2 strings. Now what we're going to be testing is whether or not an ice cube can be picked up from the water using just the string and some salt. Now, before we begin, I would like to ask you to conduct a hypothesis. Do you know what a hypothesis is? What is a hypothesis? So a hypothesis is by definition an educated guess, or a guess you make based on the information that you already know. So now that we know what a hypothesis is, let's go ahead and make one. You can go ahead and pause the video for a few minutes while you try to figure out what you think is going to happen during the experiment. Got it? What I think is going to happen is I don't think the salt will make a difference because the ice is a solid and this little tiny piece of string won't be able to support that. So now that we have our hypothesis, let's go ahead and decide. So I have 2 bowls here to do the experiment twice. For one is going to be called our control. Do you guys know what the control is? Let's find out. Control versus experimental. Control is the portion of the experiment where few or no factors are changed. So this ensures that your experiment works. Great, so now that we know what control is, that part of our experiment will be what we don't change. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this next to this bowl right here, and that will be our control group. We also have the experiment group. Experiment group. And the experimental group is the portion of the experiment where several factors are changed. So this is your actual experiment, whereas control proves what you're testing. So now that we know what experiment group is, we're going to go ahead and put that next to the other bowl. And I know it's hard to see, I got a lot going on here, but the experiment is this bowl right here. I'm going to take these signs down in a second, just so you guys have an idea. So we have 1 control group and 1 experiment group. Let's start with the control. So when we do the control, we're not going to do our experiment yet. We're going to do this without the salt, because the salt is the thing that we want to test. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to grab one of these ice cubes and I'm just going to stick it in the water. Now let's see here. I'm going to give it a couple of minutes to kind of, stick to the ice. Should be about a minute. Okay, so let's go ahead and find out what is going to happen. What do you guys think? Do you think it's going to be able to support the ice? Nope. Doesn't look like it. So for the control group, was not successful. Let's go ahead and see if the salt will make a difference. I'm going to grab another ice cube. I'm going to put it in the water, just like before, except this time, I'm going to put some salt in the water. Not too much, about a little pinch. See that? Just a little pinch. I'm going to put that in the water. Then I'm going to put my string on top of the ice, like so. Okay, so you see the string with the ice. And now let's go ahead and pour just a tad bit of salt. And we're gonna let that sit for a few minutes. Now that we have waited for the salt to situate on the ice, we can go ahead and try to pick it up. Okay. Oh, so it picked it up for a hot second before it fell. So maybe the string that I'm using isn't quite the best, or maybe it's this particular kind of salt that I'm using. But it was really cool. It happened for a split second. Okay. Now you can go ahead and do this experiment with whatever salt you have, and let's see if it's a different outcome than what happened here with mine. Or you can try to use maybe a different string, and that might make a difference. All right, let me know at kidscrossing@fppld.org so that I can know what sort of experiment, how your experiment ended. All right. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Bye. And I'm going to conclude our STEAM experiment with the why. Why did lifting an ice cube up with string with salt on it, why did that work? So the salt on the ice causes it to start melting, which is why we put, when it snows, this is why we put salt on our streets, so that it would accelerate the melting. And water freezes at 32 degrees, and this is 0 degrees Celsius. So this actually, when the salt touches ice, it actually lowers the freezing point to a lot lower than that. And in order for the ice to melt, however, it has to absorb heat. The heat that it absorbs come from what's around it. So what's around the ice? It's the water surrounding the ice cube. And some of this water becomes so cold, it refreezes, and then the string becomes trapped. So the string is stuck, which is why we're able to lift the ice cube with the piece of string. All right. Thank you so much for coming to STEAM at home, and I hope you try this experiment and the ones that I will do later. Thank you. Bye.